What's up, guys? Alex1 here, and I'm reviewing my tournament, which I played in Vlissingen just a week ago. We've looked at the first round where I drew a much lower rated player, so that kind of sucked. And then I was playing in the second round against a German youth player. I don't know exactly how old he was. I think he was like, let me think, something like 17 or something. Maybe 18, I don't know. His name was Jan Kragge, and he was rated around 1772. But he was playing some solid openings, and I wanted to surprise him. So usually against a young player, I tend to go for some sort of b4 line, which I try to do to well, get out of theory and such. However, this game I tried something different. This game, by the way, isn't in the database because I wasn't on the top 50 boards in the tournament. I was on board 53 if I remember correctly. So yeah, kinda sucked. But anyways, I went knight f3, which is something I rarely do. But I want to broaden my openings, and yeah, this was a chance for it. However, he goes knight f6, and I was just like, what the hell? We'll go b4 here. Although it's a worse choice than going b4 immediately. It is kind of psychological, because if he let's say he prepared against me, he's seen in the database that I play e4 and b4, and if he knows some line against b4. Which is known as a refutation or something, he would have prepared that. Whereas after knight f3, knight f6, those refutations are totally different. For instance, there are a lot of lines against b4, like c6, which after knight f3, knight f6 are totally different. So yeah, this was kind of psychological, and I don't know if he prepared. He didn't really tell me, I believe. But yeah, I do know he was thinking like 15 minutes or so after my b4, so that was kind of a blow, I guess. He goes d5, and we go bishop b2. We're just going to develop regularly. If you've seen some of my b4 games in my blitz, you kind of know the setup. This is just all somewhat standard, so there are a few pointers here. I could go c4 immediately though, although I don't really want to have this structure, although it's probably not bad actually. We could go bishop b2 and castle, and we'll have a half open f-file, which is kind of in our in our wheel park. It's kind of good. On the other hand, this d4 d2 pawn can really never go to d4 due to e3 being super weak, and I was like, just play something solid. So yeah, he goes for a b6 here, and this is kind of interesting, as I want to put this knight somewhere, but I'd rather put it on d2. However, after d4, which is a usual move to put the knight there, I was thinking he could maybe take there, and I don't really want to take on c5 myself. I could go knight bd2 actually, because if he takes bishop takes c3, we have rook c1. I figured why not d3 first, then knight bd2, and then d4. Just be done with it. I was also looking at what he's going to do. He went bishop d6. Okay, so he's kind of eyeing this h2 pawn. So let's just play h3. This is always useful, keeping a knight off of g4, and just in the case of getting back ranked, we sometimes have some Luft, which is not a Dutch word, it's a German word, for your information. So he goes rook fe1, which is kind of pointless, but I think he said after the game, he said something like, I don't know, I didn't see anything useful, no useful plans, so I figured just putting my rooks on better squares, which is kind of solid, but I think d8 is a better square than e8 for the rook. However, he went to e8, queen b3. I have some more useful moves to make. So this is one, rook fc1. So it's kind of an interesting position, as it's interesting as to where my rook should be going. There are three squares that come to mind. So a1 is somewhat of a good square because we want to push a5, c1 due to this queen on c7 and the potential of opening the c file, and d1 same potential of opening the d file. So those are kind of the three main squares, and I wanted to go for an a5. That's why I put my f rook on c1. Yeah, it's debatable whether this rook should be on c1 or d1, but I think c1 is useful enough. And I think he kind of makes a small mistake here by going rook ac8, because now we can easily push a5. For instance, if he were to play a nonsense move, he could go a6 here. With the rook on c8 though, if he goes a6, we can just take here and then take there. One thing to point out is that the queen is defended. That's also somewhat useful. So yeah, that's kind of the point of waiting for a rook move. I was pretty happy with that actually. He moves to b8, which is kind of pointless, but whatever. I don't know if I mentioned his rating, by the way. His rating was 1772. But he was somewhat young, so the rating could be a bit low. I don't think so, though. Yeah, I think he was somewhat. His rating was on point. So here it gets really interesting. I take on d5 here. This engine at least agrees with me. Yeah, what else is there? I mean, we could go d4, we could go queen c3, queen d1. But I saw this funny idea of going takes d4. Well, knight d4 was also an option. I was actually looking at knight h4. Because after knight d4, queen d8 was a move. And now we have to go knight f5, whereas if we go to h4, queen d8, d4 might be better. And then putting our queen on c2. But I wasn't sure. And then I saw this move, and I was thinking he could maybe go c4. But then I was going to take here, which happened actually in the game. So c4 was probably a bad move. But yeah, I saw this line when I took on d5, and the line is pretty long actually. So this is the forced line, knight f8, and then you have to see knight e5, bishop takes, pawn takes, knight e4, and then e6. And I figured I would be doing pretty good here. We've sacrificed a piece against 3 pawns, whereas one of the pawns will be on f7. And yeah, our bishops are monsters, and we're doing pretty good here. But he immediately played king h8 instead of knight f8. He said he didn't even see this knight f8. I said, why don't you think about it? Because he played the king h8 after like 2 seconds or something. But whatever. Takes on f7, takes on e8. And now material is somewhat in our favor. So we're ahead. We're down a small exchange. That is 2 pieces against a rook. So he has 2 pieces more, but we have 1 rook more. But we're up 3 pawns. So all in all, 2 points up. But yeah, those bishops are now kind of annoying. So I was thinking about some moves. I was thinking about knight e5, but that just drops a pawn, and this bishop on a8 is still annoying. I eventually played bishop a3, but I think the best move here is rook c6 actually. So let's say he takes and put this knight on f8. We can just go d5. And those two pawns are just so massive. Although we've given back some material, those two pawns are just so annoying. This knight can maybe go to f5 in the future, or b5. I mean, it's kind of easy then. I played bishop a3, but it became some sort of a mess. He took an f3, whereas queen g6 is a move. And also queen h5 is a move. I was planning on playing rook c6 here though. But now it's even better, because if he takes, pawn takes this pawn, it'll just be massive. Queen h5 was another move. I think I was not planning to play this here, because he can just take on b5. However, I was planning to play knight e1. No, I don't. I think I was planning on playing knight h2, but I mean, this is somewhat annoying as well. He took on f3, which is kind of good. We take back, and he plays queen h5. And here I kind of somewhat fumbled the ball, I guess. I played king g2. I wanted to keep those pawns. Queen d6 is probably the best move here. This is the setup we want: a rook on c8, c7, and a queen on d6. And just take the a7 pawn, move the rook back, and run with the a pawn. However, now queen. Oh, I played rook c7 first. The engine comes up with a draw all of a sudden. I hadn't seen this actually. Huh. That's kind of annoying. Yeah, if this is true, that would really suck. Yeah, I guess this is a draw. So if king f1, queen b5, king e1, knight d5, rook takes a7, knight f4. Okay, so this is kind of forced, but okay, we have to take rook e8, and now queen e3. Jesus. This is all somewhat forced. Oh. Yeah. This is such a computer line. Yeah, the king can't really be safe anywhere, so it's a draw. This is definitely a computer line. But yeah. He should have went for it objectively. He went rook f8 though. And now we went queen d6. I was kind of afraid of a move where if we take, I was afraid of queen e2, I think. Yeah, but then we can win with rook takes d7 and queen takes f8. Yeah, that's quite nice. I figured why not? Why should I take some risks when I can just go queen d8? And here I was kind of shocked again. Because now knight e4 is definitely a threat. So if we take here, knight e4. I'm joking. He can take on d7 there. And then take on f3. But if we do nothing, if we take on a7 for instance, knight e4 is the threat. Still we have this, and I saw this, but I figured why take risks yet again. So I saw this queen c6 and I just defend everything. I defend the vital f3 square, so if knight e4 now we can just take with the queen. If knight g4 we can take with the h pawn. So he goes knight b8, which is actually kind of annoying still. Queen b7, attacking g7 as well. And knight fd7. So this is still annoying, because if we go f4, he can go rook f6 maybe. Still, there's no real threat here. Well, there is one, but we can easily defend that with a move like this, and then rook c8 is a threat now. However, yet again I saw a much safer option of going rook c8, queen c7 here. He had to go for queen b2 here though, and I was planning to go rook g1, queen b5, and I saw this line here, takes, rook a1, and now the point is the knight can't go to c7, which is the ideal square, due to rook a7, so he has to go to b4, and then we can go f4, then e4, and e5, or d5. I mean, these pawns will roll, whereas his pawn is a bit slow, but he had to go for that, to be honest. Instead he went for queen b5, queen takes a7, queen b2, and now we have the very simple queen b7, and he resigned. If he takes an a1, we're just gonna promote on the a8. We're definitely not gonna take the knight. We're just gonna go to a8. So he resigned. So a nice bounce back after that draw in round 1. And yeah, we managed to get the win. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys next round.